Hey, it's Pete here, and I'm back with Beck O'Reilly for some more Reboot Your Bridge. Now, today we're going to be talking about the objectives of the bidding and sort of limiting your hand. So, Beck, the two main things that you want to try and do in the bidding is answer these two questions. How high do we want to go, and what should be the trump suit?
Okay.
So, pretty obvious questions that you want to try and answer. So any bid we make will have some element of that. We're either going to be talking about our points or our shape in it. Now, to help decide the final contract, there's three times that we actually limit our hand. This is when we bid no trumps, when we repeat our own suit, or when we bid partner's suit. These are our three main times that we limit our hand. And what you want to do in the bidding as opener or responder is work out, are you weak, invitational, or game forcing opposite that? Or are you minimum, medium, maximum sort of thing? You seem to be pretty on the ball with bidding like your balanced hands, working out where you're meant to go, but I'll let you take over and we'll try and bid these hands.
So, it's 16.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just start with one spade.
Yeah, so here, now partner's limited their hand.
Yeah.
So as soon as partner limits their hand, you're in control. So what I like to think of is straight away is, do we have enough points for game, slam, grand slam? And then so start with game and go yes, no, maybe.
I'd probably just say game.
Yeah, so here we've got 16, opposite partners 12 to 14. So if they've got 12, we're at 28. If they've got 14, we're at 30. But we want 33 points for slam, so slam's no, game's yes. And then there's...
Jump straight to 3 no trumps?
Yeah. And we'll just bring up the next one. So it is the general strategy that we want to do no matter what happens. As soon as partner limits their hand, think, do we have enough points for game? Yes, no, maybe, and so forth. Or it's just playing it out. Okay. So again, partner's limited their hand. So are you interested in game?
So, 7 points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say no.
No. And then the next question after you've worked out what level you want to play at is there somewhere else you want to play? And again, no. So you're happy just passing here. But they made game. Anyway, so second way that you can actually limit your hand is if you support partner. So here, partner's shown 5 or more hearts. We're going to raise hearts.
Yeah.
So here, nice easy 2 hearts. And now it's partners in control. So there's no way that they would ever, unless they ask us for more information, we're not going to suddenly start bidding anything more than that. Oops, skipped over it. Anyway, so that's the general approach of limiting your hand. So there's 3 main times when your side bids no trumps, whenever anyone bids no trumps, when we support partner or rebid our own suit, we've limited our hand. The other person's in control, and the first thing you want to do is how high do we want to go? Do we want to bid game, slam, grand slam, and then work out yes, no, maybe. If it's maybe, we want to make an invitational bid. If it's yes or no, we want to bid there. We also want to ask the question of where do we want to play? Do we want to play here, or do we need more information about what suit to actually play in? So that's the general premise of pretty much all the bidding. Any questions about that? No. Okay. So next I wanted to talk about hand evaluation. Alright, so talking about hands, how do you judge how good a hand is?
Points to start with.
Yeah.
Easy. I don't know.
Yeah, so most people are taught high card points, and then that's sort of the limit of it. do you count length points or shortage points at all?
Like once you find a fit, shortage.
Yeah. So once you find a fit, you can count shortage points. And what I like to do is count 5 for a void, 3 for a singleton, and 1 for a doubleton.
Okay.
Is that what you count?
I think I do 4 for a void.
Sure. So, none of these are actually perfect, but basically, if you've got a really good fit, then your shortage points are worth more. If you've only got like a small fit, some people count 3 for a void, 2 for a singleton, 1 for a doubleton. But if you've got like a 9-card fit or something, then your shortage points pull more weight, and you can count 5 for a void, 3 for a singleton, 1 for a doubleton.
Okay.
Something else I like to count is length points. So before I find a fit, I'll count length points, because in no trumps, having a 5-card suit's useful. Having a 6-card suit's useful in no trumps. So even if you don't find a fit, long suits are still useful.
Okay.
So I just count 1 extra point for a 5-card suit and 2 points for a 6-card or longer suit.
Okay.
So how good do you reckon this hand is?
Not very.
Not very. Yeah.
11 points. It's got
Yeah.
4 spades. That's kind of good.
Yep. So we've covered like the basics of hand evaluation. Some other things that I like to look for in hand evaluation are intermediates, also sort of what shape I've got, and sort of connectivity of the honours, like how good. You don't want your honours spread out. So having a queen by itself is worse than having a queen with a higher honour, because if you just looked at that queen of clubs, the chance of that winning a trick is not very high.
Yeah.
But if that queen of clubs was instead in spades, it would now be guaranteed to win a trick. So you want your honours with higher honours if possible. The other thing about intermediates, 10s and 9s and 8s are kind of useful. So this hand's actually got quite a few 10s, and it's got an 8, so it's got quite good intermediates. So if I'm ever on the borderline of should I go or not, looking at the intermediates can help you judge whether or not you should go.
Okay.
Then something about the shape. 4-3-3 shape is just a terrible shape. Like, it is a really bad shape. Some people count a whole point less for just having a 4-3-3. So all of the good factors that we've mentioned so far are negated by this having a 4-3-3 shape. So this is a pretty rubbish 11 count. One other factor that is useful is aces aren't worth precisely 4, and queens aren't worth precisely 2. That's just sort of an approximation.
Yeah.
If you want it to be a bit more accurate, aces and kings are worth slightly more than the points would suggest. So aces are worth more than 4, kings are worth more than 3, but queens and jacks are worth a little bit less. So if your hand's got lots of queens and jacks, then that's a bad hand. If your hand's got lots of aces and kings, that's a good hand. So aces are fantastic, kings are good, but lots of queens and jacks aren't great.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you think of this hand?
Well, this one isn't a 4-3-3. And it has aces. And an ace and a king. There's some 9s. There's all the 9s.
All the
All
nines.
the 9s.
So
What is it? It's 15 points.
So I'd describe this as a really good 15 count.
Okay.
Firstly, it's all in aces and kings, and it's got intermediates, and it's not a 4-3-3 shape. So for a balanced 15 count, this one's really good. Other things, points in your long suits are also useful. So if you have like singleton honours or honours in your doubletons, it's nowhere near as good as having them in your long suits. So here having 11 of the 15 points in your 2 long suits, again, makes this a really strong 15 count.
Okay.
So such that if partner made an invitational bid after I showed 15 to 17, I would probably accept with this.
Okay.
Yeah, what about this one?
I guess most of your points are in your 6-card suit.
Yep. for an 8 count? Do you reckon this is a good 8 count, a bad 8 count?
It's probably quite good.
Yeah. I really like this hand for a couple of factors. Okay, so first of all, comparing balanced hand and unbalanced hands are always better. So what I'd count this as is, first of all, we can add 2 points for length points. We've got a 6-card suit, so I'd say this hand's equivalent of a 10 count, roughly. Then 7 of our 8 points are in our long suits, which is really good. And we've got some intermediates here. But the biggest factor for this is the 6-4 shape. So if you have a 6-4 shape, that is just fantastic. If you've got like 10 cards and 2 suits, the playing strength of these hands are really, really strong. And any sort of hand evaluation stuff you just generally do will underestimate the playing strength of this. If you move, say, a heart into a club, the value of this hand would go down quite a bit, even though all the normal factors that you'd count are still the same. So 6-4 shapes, 5-5 shapes, or anything more extreme than that, you want to be much more aggressive because the playing strength of those sort of hand shapes are really, really powerful.
Okay.
Yeah, what about this one?
It's not very good.
Not very good. I would call this a very ordinary 6 count. So let's go through the factors that we've got. So shape-wise, it's okay. It's not a 4-3-3.
Could be worse.
Yeah. What about the location of points?
There's a jack in one of the 4-card suits, and that's it.
Yeah, so we've got 1 point in our long suits, so that's pretty ordinary. What about connectivity of our honours? That's just nothing. They're not touching at all. So that's bad as well. Intermediates, though?
It could be worse, but
Could be worse, but we've got no 10s, but we've got some 8s and a 9, so nothing special about it, but it's okay. All in all, pretty rubbish 6 count. Right, what about this one?
it's okay. There's an ace in a 4-card suit, but there's not really any. Like the honours are all spread out. There's aces that are good, but then there's not very good intermediate cards.
Yeah, so that is a mixture. I would lean towards this being an above average 11 count, just because of how highly I value the aces and kings sort of thing. But no intermediates, not a 4-3-3 shape though, and also no connectivity of its honours, which is a bit of a drawback. One other thing about hand evaluation is it's not necessarily the connectivity of your honours, but here, this ace of diamonds looks like it'll be working with partner. So in the bidding, as the bidding progresses, you can then re-evaluate how good your hand is by going, oh well, any honours I have in diamond are probably really good honours. Whereas if the opponents bid the suit, I don't discount them, but I do sort of pull back and go, I don't think that one's as good. So the whole reason for doing this sort of thing is, anytime you're on a borderline decision, these are sort of things you want to like look at across the hand to help you go, should I be more aggressive or should I not? So anytime you're on the fence about should I bid on or not, these are the sort of general factors that you should look at.
Okay.
Alright, we'll do one more hand.
This one looks quite good. There's lots of aces and a singleton.
Yeah. So here, if we find a fit, we can count 3 points for our singleton. Before that, we can't count anything because we don't have any 5-card suits. 4-4-1 hand shapes are awkward to bid, but that doesn't mean that they'll play that badly, but sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So as a shape-wise, this is the worst sort of unbalanced hand that you can really have. But it's still pretty good. Got lots of aces and kings. The one lower honour that we've got is connected to a higher honour. And this 10 of hearts is quite a good intermediate because, again, it's connected with higher cards. Like, if that was the 10 of clubs, it would be completely irrelevant. But here, pretty good 16 count. So that makes sense about how I like to evaluate hands. So again, quick recap. Before we find a fit, I like to count 1 point for a 5-card suit or 2 points for a 6-card suit.
Okay.
After we find a fit, I stop counting that and just go to shortage points where I get 5 for a void, 3 for a singleton, 1 for a doubleton. Then there's a bunch of other factors of trying to judge, is the hand sort of good for its point count, which are aces and kings are really good, queens and jacks aren't as good. They're sort of currently overvalued. You can look for intermediates. You want to check for sort of connectivity of your honours, and you can also check for are your honours in your long suits or your short suits. And what you'll find is this makes me a very optimistic bidder, because there's always something that you can actually go, yeah, that makes this hand good. But yeah, they're the general factors that you want to try and look for. Final thing about shape, 4 3-3 shapes are really bad. Whereas if you've got an unbalanced hand with sort of 10 cards in 2 suits, fantastic. Upgrade that one, be very aggressive. Like, you'll be making heaps more tricks with that. Anyway, that was my thoughts on hand evaluation.